That'd be very interesting. So by the summer, okay, we look forward to that. Thank you very much. Colin Barr of the Wall Street Journal. Check more on that on WSJ.com. Well, the price tag for the Dodgers has some jaws dropping. But first, the U.S. headed towards a fiscal cliff. That's what Ben Bernanke says. And David Wessel is going to handicap some likely outcomes. He joins us now from Washington, D.C., where he's with
back.
the Journal.
We've missed him.
We've missed him. We've missed him. David,
wasn't he like a Capitol? It was like a Capitol cubicle or something for a while. He's now back.
He's now back. Only disappeared from the scene. There he is. There he is again. Thank you very much, David. Tell it, a fiscal cliff. It's very dramatic from our Federal Reserve Chairman. You have some likely outcomes. Quickly take us through the three likely outcomes.
Well, first you have to understand that Congress, to use a different metaphor, built itself a time bomb and set the bomb to go off before the end of this year. The payroll tax holiday ends, income tax rates go up, not just for rich people, for everybody. There's deep across-the-board spending cuts, and somewhere in there they're going to have to raise the debt ceiling. So they did this deliberately to try and force them to make some decisions on the deficit. The problem is it's not at all clear that they're going to be able to make those decisions before the end of the year. So quite quickly, there are three outcomes. One, they do some grand deal. This action-forcing event after the election, they all come to their senses, do what's in the national interest, have some grand compromise. I give that about 1 in 4 chances.
As high as that? As high as that?
Wow. Given this Congress, not bad.
I mean, second scenario is a complete standoff, and the taxes go up, spending gets cut at the end of the year, and then they try and fix it in the new Congress with either a re-elected President Obama or a new president. I give that 1 in 4 chances. But I give 2 in 4 chances to the kick the can down the road. Unable to come to terms with find a way to really deal with the deficit, unwilling to let the time bomb go off. They come up with yet some other way to say, well, we're going to defuse the time bomb now, but we really promise this time to deal with it in the next year.
And of course, David, markets will be reacting to this. I think they're sort of taking their time. It's only end of March at this point. But we can expect, I imagine, come fall, markets are really going to be on edge about these topics.
Absolutely. I think that those are the odds I give right today. But as I say in my column, the odds are going to change between now and the end of the year. And they will change based on 3 things. One, who wins in November? If either Democrats or Republicans win really big, the chances of actually doing something go up. 2, if Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner says, I cannot wait for a debt ceiling increase beyond the end of the year, that becomes must-pass legislation. In order to get that legislation passed, they may actually have to do something, maybe symbolic, maybe meaningful on the deficit. But the third is the point you make. The markets seem utterly unconcerned by either this time bomb that's ticking or the fact that for all the talk about the deficit, really the Congress and the President have managed to agree on nothing significant about reducing it. If the markets wake up, the politicians will no longer have the luxury of delay and defer and delay and defer.
And this, of course, is the message of Simpson and Bowles, who've been on their stump speech for, God, probably a year now, making this point. We don't want markets deciding these outcomes for us. But maybe, David, that's really what it will take to spur both parties and different sides of the government to come to a conclusion.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the situation now. We have very high unemployment still, 8.3%. We have very low interest rates, the 10 years at what, around 2% somewhere. So the urgency of dealing with the deficit, which means spending cuts and tax increases, is not obvious. Polls show people are worried about jobs, not about the deficit. So the politicians don't feel much pressure. There are a bunch of people who say, oh, I only wish the bond market would rebel and do something. I'm not one of them. I don't really want these guys to have a market crash before they do something. But there is a view in Washington that only that will get them off their butts.